Great. So I'll very quickly say one more time that we're thrilled to have here with us tonight to present Mark Hader of the Equal Democracy Project and Harvard Law School buddy of mine. And he, as you mentioned, he's joined with by Lily Richmond with the Harvard Votes Challenge. So take it away, Mark and Lily.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us here. We're so excited to be here. Basically, to kind of give, in this 15 minutes that we have here, I wanted to share a little bit about how we're collaborating in this cross-campus effort to make Election Day a university holiday here at Harvard. And to help assist with the information, I just dropped a link in the chat to a document that kind of outlines our task force strategy. But basically, this is a coordinated cross-campus effort involving alumni, students, faculty, and sharing screen might be helpful. But yeah, if everyone has access to that link in the meantime. But we're very focused on making Election Day a university holiday, and Lily and I have been collaborating on this with Angela and Saeed. And yeah, Lily, do you want to take it in? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you should have screen share now.
Okay, co-host here. Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and desktop one. Here we go, share. Here we go. You all can see this document? Probably kind of, I'll just skip here to this part of the document. But where, this is an effort involving students, faculty, alumni, and press to try to get Election Day to be an academic university holiday here. And so I'm getting all these notifications of people joining in. But as far as how Harvard Graduate Council joins, kind of fits into that strategy, our goal is to get all 12 student government bodies at Harvard to sign a resolution on making Election Day an academic holiday. I'm going to stop the screen share because it's kind of distracting me. But here is this resolution. Here, I think it'd be helpful if everyone just kind of took a look at that resolution. Give a couple minutes. And the goal here is to kind of show that the unambiguous will of the student body wanting this Election Day as a holiday, because past efforts, for example, as you guys are all aware, last year there was that change.org petition, and that kind of just shows individual signatures. And our goal is to show that if we can get all 12 student government bodies to pass this resolution, signaling their support, then that gives a stronger call to the administration to put pressure. And so we've drafted this resolution, and we were hoping that Harvard Graduate Council could support and sign on. And then also, and we're happy to kind of share those reasons, but the key reasons for why for why Election Day is so important can be summarized in this paragraph I just added here on the Zoom chat. And Lily, I know I just kind of rambled on, so if there's anything I might have missed that's pertinent, please jump in here. But otherwise, yep, that's the TLDR, and I'm happy to answer more questions about that.
Yeah, I think Mark, fantastic summary. My name is Lily. I'm at the college working with Harvard Votes Challenge as one of the co-chairs there. This is something that we're really interested in as voting advocates on campus. And I think, just as Mark said, I think there are many, many reasons why we think this is an amazing idea. We've seen that our democracy is up in the air and is at stake in these past few weeks. And we really believe that having this opportunity to have an election day be free of classes and dedicated towards what we've been calling Democracy Day, or a day of civic programming and planning, gives the opportunity to have people be engaged in our democracy, for Harvard to uphold its core values, and then also allow students who are eligible to vote go out and turn out to vote. We think this is an amazing proposal and idea, and happy to answer any questions about it.
And yeah, just one last thing too is, as far as how this works into the high level strategy and the advocacy campaign, the goal is to have pass this resolution, sign on to this letter, and at the same time, we're working to engage alumni that can be spokespeople in championing this this initiative. Same with faculty, getting faculty to be supportive. And so basically, we're kind of stacking our deck through March 31st, and then we're playing our deck mid-April by releasing this advocacy letter, the faculty letter, alumni letter, all the the press that we can get, and kind of putting this pressure because of how this didn't go through in 2020. And through our internal meetings with the administration, it's not on their radar for 2022 unless there's this pressure. So that's why it's so critical that we're hoping to have the approval of the Harvard Graduate Council and all the student government bodies, and to have it in this this next month, so that all that pressure is on before the end of the semester, and it doesn't just, because this is how they win, is when we all graduate or move on, and then the cycle repeats. So this is, it's a really big effort, and we have, as you can see in that document, we have, a lot of people who are devoted to this. We're putting in a lot of work. Lily's led this whole proposal that's actually being submitted to Dean Corona at the Harvard College on Democracy Day. And so that's one third link that I will add, just swarming your chat with Google Docs, but just sharing that one too. But yeah, if anyone has any ideas in terms of collaborating beyond even just the student government advocacy, if you have any contacts to alumni, contacts to press, contacts to faculty that you think could be championing this, we'd love to collaborate, work on the task force with you all. And of course, we're going to definitely be partners in the student government advocacy part of this. So I hope that was clear. If anyone has any questions, comments about the resolution, I think the resolution is the key document to review, the most relevant one. But otherwise, I mean, any questions, I'm putting that one again in the chat. Any questions, just, please let me know. And Angela, I know that there were some action items you wanted to discuss as well, so.
Yeah, since we have time right now, I can also discuss about the action items if you, Mark, do you want me to discuss that right now or? Okay. Thanks so much, Mark and Lily, for the presentation. So this week we have an advocacy text for each of the reps. We need you to give a presentation during your next council meeting about election. So if you can see the agenda, we have a timeline here. By March 2nd, I'll be sending an email to all the presidents and reps to make sure you have sufficient resources for discussion and voting. And between March 2nd to 15th, please directly speak at your next student government hearing, and to ensure all the 12 student governments have passed a resolution by March 31st. We assigned a point person for this very important initiative, and we'll be contacting you the next few weeks to track if you have a voting yet from your council. If you do not feel comfortable giving a presentation, you can send me an email. Either Mark, me, or Saeed can give that presentation during your student government hearing. We'll be coordinate with you and your president if that's the case. So the goal is to get the vote ASAP. I know the timelines from 2nd to 31st, but if you can get the vote before HGC vote on 15th, that would be great. And HGC already secured the vote, so kudos to HGC for doing that. So on March 15th, HGC will vote. Our advocacy team, the ops team, they will make sure we have enough time to have a discussion and a vote as a HGC team. So on week of April 11th, we'll maximize pressure by dispersing all advocacy materials at once. So here we're asking if the reps are interested. EDP has a team working on alumni outreach. Like they have, they're reaching out to people like Barack Obama, Natalie Portman. They also have a team working on writing articles to Crimson, New York Times, Washington Post. So this will be a very exciting team to work with. So we would love to have the reps join them if you're interested. So if everything goes smoothly, the administration would likely to have an emergency meeting by April 16th. So we'll probably expect a decision by April 22nd. either we achieve this or not this year, this is a very important initiative, and we have a very powerful advocacy team. Thanks to Mark and Liddy for organizing this group. So it will definitely worth all our time to fight for this important initiative. So I'm just hoping all the reps can support this initiative, just like you support the data match, and also you're supporting the Grad Fest. So we'll be working closely together in the next few weeks. I'll be bothering for like sending a lot of emails to you guys.
Angela, with the 60 seconds that we have, I just want to make sure we can squeeze in Brett's question because I think it's a good one. Have there been any metrics from other universities that increase voter turnout with this type of initiative?
Yes, Columbia University and Brown University already achieved that. We already have like 6-7 universities already achieved that, but I'll leave that to Mark to answer this.
Yeah, Angela. Oh, sorry, Lily, actually, you want to comment on that one?
Sure. Okay. So at risk of going over time, so there's actually not many metrics from other universities that have been able to specifically prove it, but not to make people go too far into the weeds, I can post a link into the chat on page, I believe it's page 4 or 5 of the document that I'm putting into the chat. We have studies from other universities and experts that have said that this would be effective. And also in the appendix, I believe on page 9, we list all the universities. There are around 20 to 30 that have currently had a proposal like this passed. Mark, I don't know if I missed anything.
Yeah, no, that's definitely helpful. And I think, Brett, to your point about the metrics, we are not stipulating that having an election day holiday is going to get us from 50% eligible voter turnout to 100. It might not even get us to 75, but even if it increases it a few percent, it's we believe a worthwhile endeavor. And beyond the practical value of increasing voter turnout, we believe that as an institution, holiday represents one where the values and commitments that an institution holds dear, and we believe that there's no day as important as election day, frankly, and that only occurs once every 2 years. And so in that sense, it's actually a holiday that is so, especially when you consider Harvard's public statements about civic engagement and the importance of voting as being a full democratic citizen, that we believe that the symbolic value also is extremely important. And yes, beyond the voting turnout rate, it's also allowing people to participate in poll working opportunities. So you're right to point out the data, and we do have some studies on that, but we believe that the benefits are more holistic. And so thank you for raising that.
Yeah, and just jumping on what Mark said at the very end there, I think that's super key, that obviously we think this will help voter turnout and be a huge benefit there, but that the benefits kind of transcend that, where we've listed out some ideas for what Democracy Day programming could look like, everything from having people serve as poll workers to going and volunteering for local campaigns, being able to knock on doors, to serving as helping elderly folks get to the polls. So many other things that people can be doing to engage in service and civic activity on that day that we think would be just fantastic and building the civic culture on campus.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. And if anyone has any other questions, it'd be great to just, if you guys could just drop your emails or something into the chat. I'm sure the reps would love to reach out afterwards. But with that, Naomi, I've already made you co-host. So if you want to move on to the HGS tour, we're ready for you.
Amazing, thank you. Let me just make sure everything's up and running. So stop screen sharing. Yes, I want to do that. So, hi guys, I'll try to keep this short and sweet because I know that we have a few very important agenda items up for today. Let me just click present. So as you all know, is it loading? Perfect. And can I still move? Great. All right. So as we know, I'm the new alternate HGC rep, and I will be presenting today with my deputy director of club affairs at Hassa Gadi. Thank you so much for coming here. She's going to help me facilitate this presentation, an introduction to Harvard Extension School. Is it going to move now that I want it to? Perfect. All right. So a little bit about the Extension School. We are one of Harvard's 12 graduate degree granting institutions. Some of our main goals is to provide non-conventional students part-time online courses, non-residential programs, so that they can advance their careers. There are one of our biggest commitments is to provide open access to higher education and meet the diverse needs of our modern day students, as well as increasing the quality and satisfaction of our students' expectations. Our values is to respect the rights, differences, and dignity of others. We value honesty and integrity in dealing with all of the members of our community. And we also expect accountability for personal behavior. And we figured a perfect poster human for those values would be none other than Brent Monson, HGC's current chair of finance. And Gadi, if you are here, you can go ahead and take away our history.
Thanks. Yeah, so when it comes to the history, the Harvard Extension School is deeply rooted in its pride that it's Harvard extended to the world for every type of adult learner. Its early beginning dates back to 1909, where Abbott Lowell, who was Harvard professor of government, introduced a plan to offer public courses in collaboration with Harvard. And when he became president of Harvard University in 1909, he put this plan into action by founding by founding the University Extension, which was renamed in 1995 to Harvard Extension School. So it's in its early days, the Harvard Extension School offered over-the-radio courses for US Navy submarine crews, as well as courses over the TV. And eventually in 1985, it was the introduction of the first computer-based course. And since then, the Harvard Extension School has reached 500,000 students who benefited from its programs. And yes, second slide, thanks Naomi. And the programs of the Harvard Extension School are really categorized into three. There is undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees, and certificates. And there are nearly 1,000 courses offered in addition to 20 plus degree fields and more than 40 certificates, some of which are listed here on the slide and of course on the website. Next, Naomi.
Thank you, Gadi. So because of the pandemic and everything being virtual, the main forms of community and student life here at HES right now are our virtual events as well as our clubs. And so far our director of events, Sylvia Black, has been absolutely amazing in hosting and cultivating some really relevant events for our students, especially during this time. Some of the past events that she has worked on is kind of like parent-student events, which focused on our students who are also parents and involved in their families, and just giving them a space to talk about their experiences and empower them with tools on how to balance work, life, and school. And we just wrapped up our Black History Month initiative, which was a fantastic success. I think that she did a great job with them. Some of the upcoming events for specifically March, since it's Women's History Month, is Sylvia and I are also working, as well as Gadi. We are working on a professional women's initiative for Women's History Month. So that will include a couple of events, which I will be speaking about later. And we're also celebrating HES's 20th anniversary, which is very exciting. On the right are the three clubs that HES currently has. One of our policies at HES is that every single club has to be endorsed by a degree program. So it's a very strict approval process, which is why we only have three. We have the Management and Finance Club, the Environmental Club, and the newly approved International Relations Club. We currently have a creative writing and literature group, as well as a psychology group, which are hoping to get club approval. And with my work with my deputies, we're going to hopefully streamline that process. And here's some pictures from some of our club events pre-COVID. Actually, to this picture up top on the right is one of our other HGC reps, Jess, as well as our current HESA president, Jacob Kahn. Down here is actually my predecessor for my HESA role as the director of club affairs, Marin. And then over here, we had our environmental club represent the extension school at an environmental conference, which is pretty cool. Some of our current initiatives, I was able to organize them into about 4 main categories. So since we're virtual right now, we've put a huge priority in finding platforms for our students to connect virtually despite not being able to be together. On campus, 2 of our big ones that we've been looking into is Smart Tribe, which is a platform, it's a professional platform for academics and professionals to connect, sort of like LinkedIn meets Match, but for work. And it's been pretty, I've loved working with it. They're still working out the kinks, so we're in the process of helping them kind of clean up their site a little bit. And specifically with Near Peer, that's more of a chat platform that we're experimenting with for our clubs. They need a more relevant platform to be able to moderate conversations. And so we're finding that Near Peer could be a great option to facilitate those in a relevant and safe way. Regarding the Professional Women's Initiative that I spoke about earlier, the goal is to create a professional women's student group under the Harvard Graduate Council, actually. And 2 of those kickoff events will actually be this Saturday on the 6th at 12. It's a professional women's development event as well. And then the following Saturday, we have a women's empowerment event. The professional development event will actually be hosted by Bonnie Lohman. She spoke at Harvard Graduate Council, I think it was for their Thanksgiving dinner. And that's where I met her, and this kind of professional women's initiative kind of birthed, was inspired. And the women's empowerment movement will be a Q&A with 2 Olympic athletes, which will be very exciting. Of course, with a student group initiative, we're going to have inter-school participation. So right now, Gadi, Sylvia, and I have been talking about it within the extension school, and so far there's been a lot of interest and support there, but we would like to spread that across all 12 of our Harvard schools. So if anyone's interested in this initiative and helping lead or launch it, please let me know. The more hands we can have in this, the better. Our Director of Student Affairs, Natella, has also been working with Pearl, which is a health app which designs personalized science-based health programs for transformative sustainable results. The purpose of working with this app was to focus on our students' mental health during these very strange, trying, and stressful times. I think that this is something that we all agree we need to prioritize as our mental health. And so we've been kind of experimenting, working with a platform for that as well. Then finally, we have been trying to connect our alumni with our current students to kind of facilitate and support some more networking and connection. And so we have 2 professional events for that in April. And other than that, that's all we have. So thank you very much. And I am 4 minutes under, so that's perfect.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
See, does anyone have any questions about wonderful presentation or the extension school? I guess I have one question, which may actually, it relates to HGC somewhat, but how much of a balance before everything and us all sitting here on Zoom, what was the balance like between in-person, on campus, and online education activities, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So from my understanding, even though there was a lot of in-person activity and in-person classes, one struggle that the Extension School has is being able to properly network with each other. I think because of the types of students that end up fitting in the Extension School, they don't end up meeting, they don't end up seeing each other. Even if you have the same degree, you're pursuing it at the same time, you might get one class with them. So it's really hard for us to connect and to network, which is why even though during COVID, focusing on digital platforms and connecting everyone online is important, it will continue to be important moving forward because we still struggle to network in that way, especially outside of community life. I mean, we just got our 3rd club. So it's been really hard for, community student connection outside of the classroom. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. And regarding the Professional Women's Initiative, we have a lot of extension support. Gadi and I are working on the Constitution now. And anyone that's interested, even if just participating, kind of the goals of that initiative is to, first of all, create a great networking space for our Harvard women, our very powerful, amazing Harvard women, but also just create a space to kind of talk about our experiences, what we go through in the world of academia, as well as the professional work environment. And we were hoping that every single time the group meets to have a moderator to kind of, validate what we're going through or validate the topic at hand, and then provide us with the tools necessary to be successful in what we're doing and to navigate these waters, especially during these trying times. So yeah, if you have any questions or are interested to hear more about it, please feel free to shoot me an email. I can put it in the chat again. But yeah, that's kind of what we're working on right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Naomi, and thanks, Gaudi. Sorry for mispronouncing that.
No, it's
For
correct.
presenting
Thanks.
and coming today. It's always great to see other people outside of our council also come and speak as well. All right, so let's move on with our meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? From any other reps?
So moved.
I think I heard somebody say so moved.
Yep.
I heard Mark grunt, so I'm gonna take that. And is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any dissent? All right, if not, motion passes. We'll move on.
Rachel's also plugged in for the next motion.
We'll move on to the public comments. Mina?
Thanks, Peter. So just picking up the conversation from 2 weeks ago regarding emails, I'm going to talk really quickly because we don't have a lot of time, but Harvard does not have lifelong email. Typically, our email is active for only a few months after graduation, but due to COVID, the IT department extended the email for 2020 grads for a full year post-graduation. So as discussed in our last email, I've been working with Heidi to achieve parity for 2021 grads, but the issue is bigger than just requesting extensions for a few months. And this is something that alumni have brought up many times. I think Heidi mentioned that IT has, from HGC, communications has worked on this in the past. I would like to move the needle on the issue of lack of permanent emails in general, and hopefully institute a permanent email account. So while every institution has its own policy, this is standard practice for many universities. I'm sure everyone has some type of experience with their own college. It fosters more opportunities for career development and contact and community building. So the alumni, what the school has offered alumni is an alumni alias. So that would be, for me, it would be Ahmed at alumni.harvard.edu, and you could send me an email from that email or to that email account, but I can't email you from that. That's what an alias is. That's not how emails work, right? So if I want to apply for a job, I can't apply with my alumni alias. It's pretty counterintuitive, and this is, again, an issue that they know about. So this is what we're working on, and I would like to open it up for discussion. What Heidi and I have sort of specified to highlight to IT is, one, a request for an alumni email for life. This is something that we've looked at peer institutions, and Yale, for example, which has a similar scale and similar endowment, well, not endowment, but tuition. They have an alumni email for life. So this is something that there is precedent for. And I guess just the cost of not doing anything about this is that, we could argue it puts more strain on career services. It's harder to contact professors without your Harvard email. It's harder to keep in touch with our own networks, our own student groups and advocacies. And there's a general loss of identity and community and feeling of backing from our institution. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Mina.
Jojo,
right.
is that? Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I see this question in the chat about
No,
the
sorry,
renaming.
that was for the HES. Can you, although since you're mentioning this, can you mention, as far as, so we're working to advocate it, is there anything that the broader HGC you think can do? Are there any action steps at the moment?
Yes, so I talked to the GSD IT head on this, and he said that IT meets every month to discuss issues. And so while we're working on this, at the HGC level, I think that's something all representatives can do is go to their IT department at their school and just articulate that this is something that they're interested in, if it is something that you're interested in. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, we do have to move on because we have another line item for public comments. So Izzy, up next from the Crimson.
Hey everyone, my name is Izzy. I'm a student at the college and I'm a writer for the Crimson. Thank you so much for letting me be here. I know I have 1 minute, so really briefly, I'm currently writing for like a feature piece for the Crimson. It's kind of chronicling like a number of grad students and their experience adjusting to life during COVID-19. So that would be, you know, what has been your academic work like? What are your hobbies? Like, how have you adjusted to pandemic living? And each kind of vignette or kind of person would have like 300 words, and we're planning to compile it into like a feature length piece and publish it, like I think in a week. And I guess the people that have expressed interest so far, all of them are students, which is great, but I'm wondering maybe we could get some female representation. So if you are interested in being interviewed in the next few days and being profiled by the Crimson, maybe you could just send me your email in the chat, and I'll be happy to reach out to you and schedule a time to chat. The interview itself should take no more than like 25 minutes max, and it would just be a fun opportunity for some of you all to be profiled and your kind of experiences memorialized in the Crimson as the anniversary of one, what is it, 1 year, I guess, in quarantine comes up. So thanks so much, and thanks for having me. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. And Liz, Izzy, the same thing. If you just want to drop your email or whatever contact information you prefer into the chat.
Yeah, sounds good. I will do that. Okay.
Okay, so just for the rest of the council, we did move some items around just in response to the feedback that we've heard about wanting to discuss more voting items earlier into the meeting. So if any of you are confused as to why action items are so early, that's part of the reason. So we are going to move on with action items to vote. Is there a motion to, is there any motions on the table?
Are these, sorry, you're asking, can we describe what the motions are that we're going to go through, or what the votes are?
Yeah, you can do that. But the formal discussion would have to be after the motion is made and seconded.
Right. So that's fine. So we'll start with, and then we can have discussion once we make a motion to vote on it. But we'll start with what Abhinaya sent around, and then after we make a motion, maybe she can speak just to give a couple of words on it. But it is this letter regarding Professor Cornell West's tenure with the university. Yeah. So I guess, does anyone have a would anyone like to make a motion on that for us to vote on the letter?
And just as a heads up, reps, exec members can't make motions. So if you'd like to discuss any of these items and vote on it, please make a motion in a second.
I'll motion it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is that stirring?
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we're open for debate. Are there any points for discussion? Or Abhinaya, do you want to go first and just describe this a little bit?
Sure. Hopefully you all had a chance to read this in advance, and you may have seen this circulating on your campuses. This letter is in regards to the denial of tenure for Professor Cornell West, but it is more broadly around the processes of tenure at Harvard and the concerns around the lack of representation of Black and Brown scholars and scholars in the ethnic studies field. The letter calls for for the process for tenure to end the ad hoc committees and to provide Professor Cornell West with an opportunity to pursue tenure through a fair assessment of his merit as a scholarship, as well as address the problems that Harvard has historically had in recruiting and retaining tenure track Black scholars, as well as committing to the funding and creation of an ethnic studies department. These are all ongoing concerns that have been raised by students of color, and particularly Black students on campus over the last several years. So just wanted to raise this for a motion, for a consideration of the group to vote on. And many student organizations across campus have already signed on, and you can see the list in the document I shared around. Thanks.
Abhinaya, do you want to just drop that letter one more time into the chat in case anyone else needs it?
I have a question that probably owes to the fact that I don't understand this process very well. What's the ad hoc committee?
My, oh,
Oh, Abhinaya, did you want to answer that?
yeah, my understanding, at least from reading the letter, is that the ad hoc committee involves basically involves power to folks like President Bacow and Provost Garber that are not actually in the field of study of the person that is pursuing tenure. But if someone has additional details on that process, I would really be interested to hear.
All right, Diego.
Yeah, I have a question as to the essentially the whether or not it's like there's a record of what happened at the rejection meeting, and if like there are reasons out there why he was denied it, or is it just a blanket like denial?
Abhinaya?
So he has written about the process of his beliefs about why he was denied tenure, but there's no other details. And this is the serious problem with the tenure denial process at Harvard. In the ad hoc committee, there's no need for like transparency about why the decision was made. I think Searing just dropped an article in the chat that describes some of the problems with the ad hoc committee process. If someone else has more details, please add.
I guess how people are familiar with the tenure processes for their own schools. Like I know how C's tenure process works, but I don't know how it differs from, for example, HLS.
Oh, I didn't realize this was a law school one. Oops. I actually am familiar a little bit with the tenure process at HLS, in that there's usually like a conversation that happens between the person who's up for tenure and the administration, and there's like the negotiations. And actually, I have my notes somewhere from a meeting that I took where we actually discussed the tenure process. So I don't know if it would be helpful for anyone if I shared those.
Maybe if you could drop a link somewhere and we can read it. This seems to be a really complicated situation. Because, for example, with C's, right? The only way someone typically doesn't get tenure is if the department doesn't approve of the tenure process. It rarely is rejected by, I guess, like GSAS or the provost office or the president. There are like 6 layers that this goes through, but usually if the department grants it, the rest, everyone else up the chain just kind of rubber stamps it. It sounds like this was not the case in this case, where the department, or I guess the school, granted tenure, but then someone higher up rejected it? Is that what happened? I guess just don't know where the ad hoc committee sits relative to everything else.
Abhinaya, do you have an answer to that?
I don't. I'm actually reading the article right now that Searing had posted. And what it describes is that the ad hoc process takes a recommendation out of a department and then reviews that again to make a decision about whether the recommendations are in the quote unquote best interest of the university. So it appears that it's an additional layer of process beyond the department, but I see Searing has her hand raised, so she may have.
Yeah, Abhinaya, I'm gonna actually call on her next, but one quick question. Is this a time-sensitive thing that needs to be passed at this council, or is there sufficient time to like table it if people want to read about the ad hoc process more, the letter in more detail?
I actually don't know the originators of this letter. It's just been circulating, so I don't have a deadline on when it needs to be signed, but yeah, I'm not sure what the deadline is. But I imagine it's something that they're trying to collect signatures on soon because it has like dramatically increased in signature count over the last 3 days.
Just because we've allocated until 8:30 for all of the discussion points on this section, I am going to allow one more point with Sering and then for Abinaya or someone in advocacy to respond. And then if you want to motion to extend, we can extend this conversation if you'd like, or you can motion to table or vote on it right away. All right, Sering, go ahead.
Thanks. And thank you, Abinaya, for raising this. I think we're looking at two different issues right now, one of which is that none of us really understand how ad hoc committees work or how the tenure process works at any of our schools or how they work like at the university level. The Crimson article that I shared said that back how I think the provost and some other people have like the final say in the tenure process. So even if it's different on the school level, it all collates at the university level with BACO. So I think I'd be interested, and if anybody else would be interested in this as well, in looking more at the tenure process as a graduate council. So please message me if you're interested in that. And also I think that it's probably better to sign this sooner rather than later, just because of like the proximity of what just happened and how it's still in the news. Like, I think it would be a bad look if we signed too late or if we like didn't give us its due diligence now.
All right, with that,
I have a point of inquiry, which is what is the required, or what is required in order to pass this letter?
It's a resolution, so
yeah,
majority, right? 2/3.
Yeah, that's correct, William.
Also, I don't think Peter has had the time to mention this, but our next meeting actually is going to be filled up by a different presentation, so we were probably not going to have time to vote. So, yeah.
Can we do this as
we have a finance 101 presentation that will take pretty much the entire council time. We can, if we table, move to an e-vote if you guys would like more time to look at the letter. But with that, I am going to close the debate on this conversation unless there's a motion to extend, a motion to table, or a motion to vote immediately. All right, so the floor is open for motions.
C's motions to table and proceed to e-vote for this at a later time.
I second that.
Sounds good. All right, there's been a motion and second to table. This is a non-debating motion, so please vote aye in the chat if you're in favor. Please vote nay if you're not in favor, and please write abstain if you'd like to abstain into the chat. Please also write your school acronym just so it's easier for tallying.
Mark, I think he meant the school you represent, not the school you attend.
It's okay, Mark. We'll take note of that. Thanks,
Sorry.
William. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, I have 8, and today we have 11 in quorum. 8, 9. I have 9 waiting on 2 more votes. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, waiting on the last vote. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I don't see the 11th vote. I'm gonna make one last call for the 11th vote. Otherwise, we will close and put you down as abstention.
It's either GSAS or
no, Mark
education.
voted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, Naomi, that was part of the motion.
Okay, all right. 10 in favor, 1 abstention. And the motion passes. Okay, with that, the floor is open again for any motions. We do have the constitutional amendments. Just so people know how this works, technically all motions can only be made by voting reps. Exec members cannot. These are recommendations to be considered based on the public commenting document. Technically, if no one makes a motion for it, it fails automatically because it's not being considered. Motion does not mean that you are in favor. It just means that you want to discuss it. Seconding is the same way. All right. If you also feel, just based on the last meeting, any discrepancies with the way that the meeting is being handled by myself or any of the exec members, you can always appeal to the motion of the chair, and then we can move to sustain or deny the appeal. All right.
Motion to move the last agenda item to an e-vote.
Are we allowed to do that? Aren't e-votes triggered by Chancia, not the reps?
The e-votes are made by Chancia between general council meetings, but if you want to make a formal vote, you can.
Oh, okay.
So Naomi, do you want to make a formal motion or do you want to rescind?
No, I want to make a formal motion.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
There's a motion to do an e-vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Can we amend the motion to have the e-vote by like the 10th at the latest, so that we have or if anyone else has proposed a more an earlier time, it's fine too.
I can amend. Yeah, I can amend my motion to that.
Okay, I'm going to call that a friendly amendment because the maker of the motion agreed to the maker of that. Sorry, typing and talking at the same time. Okay, so William, what was that? By what day?
March 10th. And end of, I don't know, March 10th, anyone on Earth.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion to do an e-vote by March 10th? All right, if not, we'll move forward with voting. 1 second, everyone. Let me just throw this into the chat. All right, voting's open. Those in favor, please type aye. Those opposed, please type no. Those who'd like to abstain, please type abstain. All right, we have 9 votes. Eight, 9. All right, 9 votes in, 2 votes remaining. Last call here before we close. If you'd like to formally abstain, please type abstain. Otherwise, we'll automatically record as an abstention. All right, I'm going to close voting. So 9 in favor, 2 abstain, motion passes. We'll launch the e-vote before 3:10. And that's what you want, right, William? Before 3:10 and then getting it done by 3:10? Just
the voting should be concluded by March 10th. Like we should have decided by March 10th.
Okay, yep. Okay, there's no dissent on that amendment, right, anybody? Okay, great. So I'll try and launch it by March 8th then for 48 hours. Okay, floor is open again for motions.
We can do the amendments in any order, right?
Yep.
C select the motion to open discussion on amendment number 6.
Amendment numbers. Can you just describe which one that is? I didn't know.
This is the motion to strike the term primary from primary voting rep and alter
Okay, sounds
voting
good.
reps to just voting reps.
All right, is there a second?
I second it.
All right, any discussions on this amendment? Just as a heads up, constitutional amendments do require 3/4 of the quorum present in order to pass.
So that's 9 votes, right?
Say that again?
That's 9 votes in favor.
Correct. All right, any other discussion points for this specific amendment? Diego?
Yeah, I just want to get the feel of the room on this motion. How does anybody have any strong opinions on it? Because yeah, I was wondering if anybody had any stronger opinions on this one.
I mean, I can mention why I bring this up first, because if that's helpful.
Yeah.
So C's already operates basically on this mode, and formalizing it is probably good for us. C's already models as a equally responsible pair of representatives, and I think it's worked super well between Rachel and I, and C and I last year. It's also really important that, you know, representatives not have to worry about who's primary, who's alternate, because it's just kind of jargony in a way. Making this equal, I think, gets rid of a lot of that.
All right, any other discussion points for this motion?
I agree. I think it will streamline the process, especially if the primary voting rep isn't always available, as is currently the case for HES. So I'm already operating in that capacity. So I think that the documentation should align.
Thank you, Diego. All right, any other discussion points? In case anyone's wondering, Diego's just a really awesome person from our governance committee, so he knows all the numbers. But okay, if there's no other discussion points, we'll move forward with voting. All right, motion is open for voting. 3/4 amends the Constitution. All those in favor, type aye. All those opposed, type no. All those opposed, please type, all those who'd like to abstain, please type abstain. Seven votes in, 9 votes pass. Eight votes in. 9 votes are in, waiting on 2 more. Ten votes in, 1 more vote remaining. Last voter. All right, with that, I'm going to close debate. Motion passes. All right, floor is open again for other motions.
C's motions to begin discussion on amendment number 7. Motion to strike vice from vice chair, such that chairs are all equal in position and power.
Sounds good. Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Reps, just a side note, I am going to abide by what the time allocation in the agenda. If you'd like to extend, that would be up to you in 2 minutes. Otherwise, we will move forward with the other agenda items, and it'll automatically be tabled for the next meeting.
I'll motion to extend.
Let's entertain that motion a little bit later if possible.
Okay.
That's okay. Okay, cool. All right. Motion to strike vice from vice chair, seconded by Diego. Any discussion points on this? Diego?
Yep. I just wanted to say, I think this one is in very similar position to the amendment we just passed. And I think if we can create a sense of equity and equality, especially when there's really no differences between the two, between the chair and the vice chair duo, I think we should just go ahead and formally get rid of it.
Any other discussion points? Jojo?
Yeah, I think practically it definitely, it definitely falls out that way, and maybe it's worth it therefore getting rid of it just in terms of wording. The concern comes from the fact that the structure as it is now allows for there to be a fair measure of continuity within the HGC, so that at the end of the year, everyone, sort of up and leaves their positions. The spring elections are done, but currently the vice chairs, those who are elected in the fall, are still around and can help over the summer, can help, sort of have some sort of institutional continuity, discuss with the incoming chairs, let them know what's going on. And so I think within that framework, if we're going to make it just sort of a flat council that's even across every position, it would be worthwhile to try and figure out, how to do that. Maybe if we still want to keep it with the spring elections and then the fall elections, how we would go about doing it in that way. And that's partly for continuity and partly also for equity, because the problem is if we were to just say we're going to move everything to the spring elections, and maybe we'll say like, well, outgoing chairs can just stick around and be nice and help out. Anyone who's doing a one-year program isn't really going to have an opportunity to participate in HGC in that way, because they can only really be elected in the fall. So I think those are things to consider, that there should be some differences in the roles, even if we're gonna get rid of the name.
Brett and
I have
Jojo.
a question for Jojo. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let me just throw in like a technical point, because I see you guys both sort of raise a similar point. It's not that the title chair is the one that gets elected in the spring, but we can double check the Constitution, but it's based on function. So it says operations, comma, communications, comma, and policy, comma, will be elected in spring versus fall. So I think that if we were to just amend this in terms of technicality of wording, it'll still be those 5 chairs voted in the spring and the other 5 chairs voted in the fall. Yeah, William?
Is the concept of a vice chair part of the Constitution itself?
Technically, now it is. It is a recent amendment. If you want a little bit of a HGC history, even like 5 years ago, there were technically all VPs, and then there was an executive VP that was done by a general election by the student body and not by reps. So things have evolved if you want to go down the HGC memory lane. But the vice chair and chair is a recent concept, I believe, from Brian Buckley's administration.
Well, I was just asking because if it's already ingrained in the Constitution, then the terms that the vice chair serves would also have been ingrained in the Constitution. Striking the word vice doesn't change the terms on which those particular chairs would get elected.
Correct. All right, guys, because we are at time, I'm going to close the debate on this motion. All those in favor, give me a second. All those in favor, please type aye. All those opposed, please type no. All those who'd like to abstain, please type abstain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 8 votes are in, waiting on 11, 9, 10. I'm going to assume that the last person present is not with us anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. We have supermajority, so motion passes. Execs, just real quick, if you guys can take a look at the attendance on this agenda and figure out who that 11th person that was present and then left is, it'd be helpful. Okay.
Point of inquiry then, since we have less people now than we thought we did, does that change the requirement for the 2/3?
Technically, that's a hard one. I guess I'll leave that up to my own interpretation, but for me, quorum was started when the people were present. I don't think people leaving in the middle of the meeting would change that quorum. Jojo, do you want to contest that? I mean, I still think it's 9
No,
anyway, math, maybe.
I would agree. I would agree with that. And I mean, for the constitutional amendments, it's 3/4 of the whole voting group anyway. So
yeah, so 9 out of 12 either way. Okay. All right. With that, just sticking with Robert's rules, we are at time unless there's a motion to extend.
Motion to extend.
All right. How many minutes?
10. Or is that too much?
All right. This is a non-voting motion, so we're going to move straight into voting. Motion to extend 10 minutes. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No. All those abstain, type abstain. This is a simple majority motion.
Peter, you can put me down for seconded if you needed that.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, William. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, 9 in favor. Waiting on the last person. All right, 10 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries. All right, floor is open for motions.
I'd like to make a motion to move to discuss amendment number 10, I believe it is.
9, right? We only have 9.
Oh, I'm going based on Diego's comment bubbles. Yeah, I think
Oh,
you
okay.
lumped together 10A and 1A and 1B at the same time, but it's okay.
Oops.
No worries. Because
I
both of those
My
can't.
bad.
No worries. Naomi?
Yes, I second.
All right. This one states election of officers will require an absolute majority. If a candidate fails to receive majority vote on first ballot, the candidate with the least amount of votes will be dropped and the subsequent ballots will continue. Is there any discussion points on this?
Just point of clarification. Is this the same thing as preferential voting?
Diego, you can comment. I know you made this motion.
Yeah, I was the one who made this amendment too. So yeah, so the idea is, I don't know if you guys remember in this past fall election, we were having like 4-way ties between candidates, and we kept having to vote, and so people were winning with 3 or 4 votes, and I just think it would make more sense to move to like the ranked choice preference voting. So yeah, that's just what this is.
Right. Just making sure.
Any other points?
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Brad.
Oh, and I'm not opposed to it. I know that this last election time, we went quite a bit overtime. And so just in terms of logistically making these elections happen, that'd be the one concern I would have. Not that I'm against it, but just we'd have to talk that through.
It probably would take a longer process overall, but I think having people tie and then having like the chairs and the VPs convene and then figure it out probably takes more time. So I think it might overall then will save net time.
The amendment also doesn't stipulate how this is implemented. So one common implementation of this is for everyone to just rank every candidate in order. And if their candidate gets knocked out, it just goes down the picking order until some majority.
William, is that a motion to amend to preferential?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
The amendment is very vague about how this is implemented. I'm just saying this is one implementation possibility if people are concerned about time.
Mark, I'm going to record that, including the smiley face.
Great. I was just going to comment, I mean, given that the implementation is a little vague, perhaps all the candidates for each position could speak, everyone submits a ballot, which has everyone ranked, and then later the exec committee just calculates it, kind of even after the meeting, perhaps.
Like announce the winners after the meeting?
Yeah, that could happen.
I don't think that works because some people may or may not continue running depending on which position they get, right? Like some people dropped out of later races if they won earlier races. It could probably work if we did a one offset by one, where like as we do the next, as people in the next position are delivering their speeches, platforms, the exec can be counting the votes and doing non-preferential process. It's also really easy to just write this up in like a program and have it run.
I also think we need to just kind of reform the election process in general, but I think that can come at a later time.
Yeah, let's keep the discussion point specific to this motion. Is there any other points on the specific motion? Any recommendations about election logistics, feel free to message me informally. All right, if not, we are going to open this motion for a debate or for voting. All those in favor, aye. All those opposed, nay. All those who'd like to abstain, type abstain. Eight votes in. 9 votes in. All right, 10 votes in favor, 0 abstentions and nays. Motion passes. All right, so we are at time again. If there's a motion to extend, we can extend. Otherwise, we can move on to the next items in the agenda. Motions are automatically failed, by the way, if we do not bring it up in this meeting, or they could be tabled if someone makes a motion to do that as well.
I move to extend voting or to extend time for 2 minutes in order to vote on a motion to table.
Okay. Diego, I'm just going to say motion to table. Motion to table rest of the constitutional. Is there a second?
Q at HMS seconds.
Does this mean we'll pick them up next meeting?
We can't pick it up next meeting because our agenda's full. So I guess it'll be the meeting after that, which is elections.
Well, that is
in theory you could do an e-vote, right?
Yeah, we could launch an e-vote if needed.
Because it's technically, now that this is this week, we do have to.
All right, so motion to table is a non-discussion motion, so we're going to move straight into voting. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? No. All those who like to abstain? Abstain. Simple majority wins tabling. Diego, did you vote to revoke your own amendment or your own tabling motion?
Oh, that's right. I could just withdraw the motion, couldn't I?
Yeah, do you want to withdraw?
Yeah, I'll move to withdraw.
Okay, move to withdraw. Did you want to move to extend or do you want to move on to the next items?
Oh, I wanted to move to e-vote instead.
Okay.
Sorry. I since I know we didn't have.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
All right, any discussions on this? Oh, sorry, is there a second?
Motion to amend the motion to e-voting with a deadline, but I don't know what the deadline should be, so someone else pick a date.
Diego, I'm going to allow that as a friendly amendment if you're okay with that. since you're the original maker of the motion. Okay. Brett?
Does somebody technically need to move the motion in order for it to then be voted on electronically?
What do you mean by that?
So like some of the motions on here, like we haven't had anybody make the motion to pass them or second them. And so how could we e-vote on them if we haven't made the motion yet?
Yeah, so exactly as we've handled the resolutions, what happens is that Chinsia usually launches the e-vote and then I put it out publicly. And then on the WhatsApp, I say, is there a maker of the motion in the second? So I can gather that via chatting if needed. All right, is there a recommendation for when we'd like to get the e-voting closed by?
I would say maybe, but by the next meeting. Within 14 days.
Okay. That is, not do math, I'm sorry. First, 15th. March 15th. All right, William, can I put you down as a second for this motion?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, motion to e-vote. All those in favor, type aye. All those opposed, please type nay. All those who like to abstain, please type abstain. Five. Four, five, six, seven, eight. 8 votes in, 9, 10. All right, 10 votes in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions, motion passes. All right, with that, all of the other amendments will be an e-vote at Chinsia's discretion, and we will move on to committee updates. Jojo and Chinsia?
Yes, thank you, Peter, so much for taking us through that. And sorry, everyone, we know it's a lot, and hopefully we'll do the rest over the e-votes. But hopefully this will all help us, to create a better constitution and a better HGC over time as we develop. Very quickly, I don't have anything except to mention once again that next meeting in 2 weeks we will have, and we'll vote on it at the beginning of next week, so we can technically decide if you don't want it. But the plan is to have, rather than an hour-and-a-half meeting, a 2-hour meeting, so we can have a short time at the end for updates and conversation. But the bulk of the time, an hour-and-a-half, is going to be devoted to a Harvard Finance 101 presentation from the Office of Finance. We're working with Marshall Page, who you have all met now, to bring in a couple of folks from that office to speak to us, and it should be a really fascinating presentation about one of the very important departments at Harvard and how the inner workings function. And so hopefully everyone will be able to join us for that. We're still going to start at 7:30 and possibly run till 9:30. So that is my only announcement. Chinsi, do you have anything else? Yes, I guess I'll announce it for Chinsia because she's putting it in the chat, but I'm not sure. She thinks she's having some internet issues. If everyone also, all the reps can look at the super quick survey about your interest in running for exec board. It's in the
super quick
chat. It is very quick. There's also a slightly longer survey that related to the Harvard renaming committee. They have asked us as the HGC to provide some advanced feedback. I think they're also going public at the moment, but we have this opportunity. So if folks could also fill out that survey, it might take a little longer. If you don't have a whole lot, that's perfectly fine. If you want to do it anonymously, that's perfectly fine too. But those 2 surveys, if it's possible to fill out when you have a chance. And for the renaming one, by tomorrow at 5 p.m., please. For the other one, if you could do it within the next few days, that would be wonderful. And now we can turn it over to Heidi and Tara.
Hey everyone, sorry.
Go ahead, Heidi.
Okay. Hey everyone, just really briefly, I just have a couple of short announcements. The first being just a reminder that we send out our HGC newsletter at the 1st and around the 15th of every month. However, just given spring break, we'll be sending out the second March email around the 22nd. So just use the link in the agenda to submit all of your events or any type of information you'd like us to include in the newsletter. And thanks to all that had submitted events for this for the newsletter that went out today. And then just to kind of build upon what Mina had mentioned earlier, I'll be working with her as well as with Abinaya and Cynthia over the next few days to address the IT and email issues. So if any other reps would like to, just check in with your respective schools, and also feel free to give us any additional feedback that might be helpful as we engage in these conversations with IT. That's it. Thank you so much.
All right, Brett and Saeed.
Hey guys, so we know how much you love looking at One Harvard Catalyst Fund applications, so we thought we'd bring another one at this meeting. You can click on the link. This one's for a program called Hive. They would like to offer a platform for individuals who are interested in ventures to be assigned a mentor and walk through an educational experience about how ventures and entrepreneurship can work. They're asking for funds to pay for swag for the individuals that will be participating in the amount of $2,500, excuse me. That's broken out right there. So if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to private message me. I'll turn it over to Saeed.
Yeah, just two brief updates on finance. Our checking account is $42,811.27. And the reserves are $7,181.02. I'm happy to repeat myself or indicate that in the, I see you put 42,000, how much? It's 42,811.27 if we want to be precise. And 27 cents. Yep, and reserves 71.81. And 2 cents. There you go, you got it. That's it for me. Thank you guys.
So one more thing I just really want to quickly mention. I know at the beginning, there were a few requests from our reps basically asking for some sort of like central funding for hardship situations that potentially could work. So if you're interested in that, I know Saeed has been working with the HGC student government regarding potentially gathering a couple of reps from different schools and working together and submitting it for the One Harvard Catalyst Fund. So if anyone's interested in that, like, please do contact me and Saeed, and we'll get that rolling, before elections and hopefully get it in the spring. But it's been something that we've been talking about for a long time. I just keep on forgetting to like mention it, but yeah, please do reach out to us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shantia, for bringing that up.
Yeah, sorry,
So,
I also forgot.
Totally appreciate it. And so I'm working with the Equal Democracy Project to kind of streamline their initiative for the election day, because basically they're striving to get the graduate student-wide support for that initiative. And so I figured it would be helpful to couple their effort with my effort, since we're, both trying to reach out across graduate student-wide. So the idea is basically to utilize the Catalyst Fund to provide some kind of support. And so very happy to talk about that. Specifically, feel free to reach out to me and Chantia, and we can take it from there. Thank you so much again, Chantia.
I have a question about what we can use our money on. Are we allowed to, are we subject to any restrictions when it comes to like charitable donations?
Diego,
Maybe.
actually, sorry, because for committee updates, we don't allow discussion. Do you mind just taking that on chat so we can move forward with time?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, next update for operations. So, Himaja, go ahead.
Yeah, very, very briefly, we're going to be scheduling president one-on-ones, and Peter has been great with scheduling one-on-ones for our reps. So we'll continue to do that. And back to you, Peter.
For spring elections, I already typed this in the WhatsApp, but Emily Mello from HKS has generously offered to help Chinsia with the spring election tallying, because it has to be done by one senior representative who is leaving, as well as the senior member of the executive board who is also leaving. So I'm not allowed to tally. But yes, Emily Mello will be helping Chinsia with spring election tallying. That's all. Angelina Marie?
Thank you, Peter. I'll just take 1 minute, not 7 minutes, because I already gave the updates. So I'll be working with the reps by email start tomorrow. So we are making sure all the 12 student governments will sign the resolution by March 31st. And that's all. Emery, do you have any updates for the games night?
No updates yet, but just a heads up that we'll be working with MIT and hopefully Stanford to host the next games night. But more updates to come next meeting.
Thank you, guys. All right, Abinaya and Cynthia?
No updates, just the previously mentioned letter. So look forward to the e-vote for that.
Reps, we did split up the action items into 2 parts because we wanted to make sure that you heard about the One Catalyst Fund from Brett's update before voting on it. So we're going to open the floor up again for motions. Are there any motions from the council?
I'll motion to extend the next general council meeting to 9:30.
All right, motion to extend by 30 minutes. Is there a
Do
second?
you think it's better to extend it or start it earlier?
I can amend my motion to just add 30 minutes either at the beginning or the end, whatever works.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion points on extending the next meeting by 30 minutes? If not, we'll move forward with voting. All right, please type in your vote. Six votes in. 7. 8 votes in. All right, waiting on one more. Okay. All right, 9 votes in favor, 1 abstention, 0 nays, motion passes. All right, any other motions on the floor?
I'll motion to approve the One Harvard Catalyst Fund for Hive.
Is there a second?
Few seconds.
All right, any discussions on this? All right, if there's no discussion, we'll move forward with voting. All right, please type in your votes into the chat. Aye in favor, nay against, abstain to abstain. 5 votes in. 6. 8 votes in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 10 votes in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions. Motion passes. All right. Any announcements? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Minutes early. Are you crazy?
Any second?
Searing seconds.
Any dissent?
Can
I
I do a
dissent.
quick dissent? Just to do a motion for the last 10 minutes, to at least cover one of the other constitutional amendments while we have time.
Okay. All right, so meeting is not adjourned. Motion failed.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
I think that's the first time in like my experience that's ever happened. So
Trust me, I hate myself a little bit right now too.
All right,
good.
Vote on the adjournment and a majority passes it.
Is Izzy still here? Izzy, could you write that we were having so much fun in the HGC meeting that we extended it?
If there is Brad is correct. If there is a dissent because of a white ballot-based voting, we do have to vote on it formally. So all those in favor of not adjourning, please type in your vote. Aye in favor, nay against, abstain to abstain.
Point of clarification, we're voting on a motion to not adjourn, is that right?
That's correct.
Mark made the motion to adjourn. So you have to vote on that.
Or sorry.
It's a vote on the motion to adjourn because the white
I
ballot
stand
failed.
corrected there, yes. This is the motion to adjourn and vote in favor for aye, nay to not adjourn, abstain to abstain. Thanks, Brett, sorry about that.
thanks for making it clear, Rachel.
This will be the most contested vote in a while.
I want to adjourn. Oh man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hugh, do you need clarification?
I think Hugh is joking.
Okay, I'm just double checking.
It's fun.
1, 2. Okay, I believe it's 2 opposed and 8 in favor. All right, so motion to adjourn passes at 9:01 p.m. All right, HMS will be our next host. And if you'd like to stick around and hang out with us, you can as well.
Yeah, and Nima, feel free to like